We are halfway through till, I would say, of the movie award season, as we only got four other award shows left prior to the Oscars. We had the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, we had the Directors Guild and Film Independent Spirits, and now the other four left. The rest of the three guilds are in the next week and another week for one of the last ones. But for this weekend, of course, will be probably maybe be the big influence maybe for this year's Oscars, the BAFTAs, as this will be the 79th BAFTA Awards that will be taking place this Sunday, of course, in the UK. Will air live on BBC One and stream on iPlayer in the UK, and the United States will air the ceremony for the first time as a pre-recorded special at 8 p.m. Eastern, after being previously been streamed in America via BritBox. So E is going to be taking that, but I don't understand why they can't just do YouTube. I think it would have made a lot more sense to do them. And on top of that, despite of deciding to rule the movie ineligible, the song Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters is going to be performing. Completely pointless, honestly, because it makes no sense. I don't get it. They should have just stayed for the Oscars. But if the BAFTAs would be doing Golden, then there's no point for Golden to be performed at the Oscars and just do I Lie to You from Sinners Only, and that's it. But I think both Golden and I Lie to You are both musical number songs, so that's the reason why they're going to be doing it. Obviously not the three, obviously, but it's also going to be on HBO Max for Australian viewers as well. And Alan Cumming will be hosting for the first time, which I believe he just recently got a Hollywood Walk of Fame. And obviously, there are the two special awards. The Outstanding British Contribution to Cinema is going to go to Claire Binns, who doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. And the BAFTA Fellowship will be going to Donna Langley, an executive chairman for Universal Pictures and Universal Film Entertainment Group. But here is the question, though. Here is the biggest question I think we all have. Is this going to be a biased Hamnet night? Because this is a Shakespearean-themed movie, although a lot of them was primarily filmed in Ireland, starring two Irish actors. So that's the thing. Even though it's technically a British movie, but it's technically from Ireland. So that's the thing. So yeah, the question is, how biased are they going to be towards Hamnet? Now, this could also be the category, the ceremony, where whoever wins the BAFTA here for Best Picture is not usually a good thing, because with the exception of Nomadland and Oppenheimer, the movie who wins Best Film here at the BAFTAs doesn't go on to win the Oscar, even though there is a 2 weeks spanning vote here for at least till the final voting closes, I believe, if I'm remembering, on March 6th, I believe. Or it's the 5th, because it's 5 days after the SAG Awards. That's what I know about. Or Actors Awards, as we'll say that. But, so yeah, there are some influence of the BAFTAs that really do go on to the Oscars. Like last year, they went with Mikey Madison for Best Actress over Demi Moore. And that probably pulled her way off to the Oscar. So it's basically like whoever wins here at BAFTA might have a shot, especially in the acting categories per se. Not much on Best Picture, but there could be any other categories here that could leave a big influence here. Some of which don't really even matter. I mean, the BAFTAs were 0 for 3 on all 3 feature film categories last year, so that's something. They went with Conclave last year, but we all thought it was going to win after it won the SAG Ensemble Award as well, but the voting was too late for that film. So there is a lot of days, or 2-week expansions for Oscar final voting, of course, even though everyone does have to watch everything at the Oscars. But this will determine, is this going to be a Hamnet bias, or are they just going to play it safe and go with the one battle after another sweep, like the Globes, Critics' Choice, and you can even say DGA did. So we'll see. But then again, Sinners could be the threat for PGA and SAG, though. So that's the thing. Hamnet is one battle after another's threat here at the BAFTAs. Now, like the last prediction video I did at the Film Independent Spirit Awards, unfortunately, the awards expert.media on the computer specifically is not unavailable still at the moment. So once again, I have to do this through the Wikipedia page only. But then again, there are some categories here that are not in the awards expert app, like the bottom four here in the page that I know for a fact. The Rising Star Award, the two short films, and Children's and Family Film. So it starts up with the EE Rising Star Award. Now, you could make, which obviously this is the only one that's voted by the British public, but it really kind of depends on who. Now, the obvious two you're looking at, you would think of at first glance, are Miles Caton and Chase Infinity. Infinity is even nominated for Best Actress, but they're both Americans. And you got to remember, this category usually awards the British people. So yeah, it's not Caden or Infinity that's going to take it. It's either going to be one of the other three. And, yeah, I think the fact that he is nominated for Best Actor, for I Swear, I have to go with, Robert Armayo, because this would be his chance for him to get something, because he's not winning Best Actor, so... Yeah, I think they're just going to go their British bases and go with Robert Armayo. So, yeah. And then one of the other two British people would take the win over the three that would have been obvious choices. On to Best British Animated Short Film. I think this one is kind of easy because it was on the Oscar shortlist, and that is Cardboard. And then for Best British Short Film, this one is a total guess here. Just because I think since there's one person's name here that does have a Wikipedia page, I guess, I'm just going to go with Nostalgia. Now it's time for some of the technical categories first, and we'll start this up with makeup and hair. I think this is easily going to be Frankenstein here. I don't think this one needs no explanation. Okay, for Best Costume Design... I almost considered Sinners, because Ruthie Carter has never won a BAFTA here, because she was not even nominated for the first two Black Panther movies, so this could be a way to award her. Frankenstein won Critics' Choice, but I'm going to start the beginning of the potential Hamnet sweep here at the BAFTAs, I would say. And for Best Production Design, Frankenstein's the obvious choice, but they could go biased here with Hamnet. I'm going to see if they're going to try to spread the little bit of the love and not go all in on Hamnet, so I'm going to go with the safer bet and say Frankenstein here. For original score, I could have originally went with Hamnet originally, and once again, Max Richter is British and makes sense, but I think the Sinner sweep is going to complete it here. I mean, it won the Grammy as well, so I think this one might be over here, but Hamnet's probably the only bet to go with. But once again, I think they're going to try to do a little bit of love here, to spread a little bit, that not going bias on Hamnet on a lot of the wins. It would make the most sense, but I'm going to go with the safer bet and say Ludwig Göransson for Sinners. For sound here, One Battle After Another and Sinners would make the most sense, especially if they're up for Best Picture. But then again, this is a ceremony that only has 5 nominees, so... yeah, I'm gonna go with F1 the movie here, as the safer bet. Especially now, more so since it got that Best Picture nomination at the, Oscars. For special visual effects, Avatar Fire and Ash, I mean, that needs no any explanation. Okay, for film editing here, whew, this one's interesting here, because... I think F1, the movie, was just a Critics' Choice thing. I don't think it's not going anywhere unless it somehow wins this. But I forget what the Guild's nominees were. Obviously, Hamnet's not here, so that could be the reason why it's a little bit more open. It's like a toss-up between Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. Like, they really could say F1, because they did give this to Baby Driver. Did they give this to Ford versus Ferrari as well? Yes. So they're no strangers of giving to racing movies. Okay, no, he's not I was thinking the editor is British, but he's not. I don't think none of them are British here. No, they're all Americans. So You know what? I think if they do want to give him something, I guess, if he has a shot at potentially maybe winning an Oscar, my initial thinking was One Battle After Another, but I think that makes more sense at the Oscars. Here I'm going to throw in a curveball and say Marty Supreme on this one, to give Josh Safdie at least a BAFTA for his collection. For cinematography, now Train Dreams is definitely the potential choice at the moment because it obviously did won. Obviously, it had Critics' Choice, and yesterday, this past week at the Film Independent Spirit Awards, did it won the Guild, or did the Guild has not happened yet? The Cinematographers Guild. Oh, the Cinematographers Guild is not till March 8th. Is that like 2 days before the Oscars? No, a week before the Oscars, excuse me. That's on the same day as the Writers Guild. I just got confused there. So, yeah, this is the Oscar 5. Is that also the 5 about? Yeah, that's right. It's the BAFTA, Oscars, and the Guild's 5. Train Dreams makes the most sense, but I think the narrative of getting the first woman to win cinematography, I think this is where Sinners will take over in the industry side. Even though Indie Spirits is technically an industry award, but in terms of like the main ones when you look at the BAFTAs, the Guilds, and the Oscars, I think this is where we're going to see the switch, and Sinners does go on to win this. But if it doesn't, and if Train Dreams does take this, it does have a shot to win the Oscar because the voting will be done by the time the Cinematographers Guild would happen. And now let's deal with casting here. So, obviously, this can't be Hamnet here because it's very odd they didn't went with their homegirl Nina Gold on this one because this would have been her award. So it's obviously between, right now, the 3 Oscar nominees we're looking at with Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. You have, obviously, different definitions when it comes to casting, minus the ensembles. Let's see here. American. Okay, there's an American. So, the 3 ones that are up for the Oscars for casting with Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners are also all Americans, so can't really help a British thing, even though I swear is the only British candidate here, but if that wins, then it just really is going to make everybody so confused. So it's either the way how One Battle After Another found Chase Infinity, the way how Sinners found Miles Caden, or the way with Marty Supreme choosing interesting people to be in the cast. I mean, like, obviously not just obviously matching, like, with Timothy Chalamet in his role, but also, like, in the rising momentum of Odessa Zion, but also when you get Kevin O'Leary in this. Who else is, like, I know there was a rapper that's in this one, right? Tyler Okonami, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's just, like, the way interesting casting some interesting people in there is also another way. I'm gonna go with... I'm gonna go with One Battle After Another, because it does have all of its acting nominations up for it. Sentimental Value would make the most sense, but it's not up for, at the Oscars. That's the reason why I'm not going with it. And then if that wins, then, oh boy, I already just mentioned it, but yeah. This one's kind of an open-minded one at the moment, because this is the first year for the Oscars to do so. So I'm going to say One Battle After Another here. At least get it somewhere here. Because, like, I remember last year's Anora did win this. So, but regardless, if, with the exception of Rocks, all the other casting winners did win on to win an acting award. So I might be regretting not saying Marty Supreme or Sinners, but I just said One Battle After Another. And then, outstanding debut by a British writer, director, or producer. You would think Pillion would make the most sense, but sometimes they don't usually go with the obvious choice. So that's the reason why I'm going with Enkinio Davies Jr. and Wale Davies for My Father's Shadow, which was actually the UK submission for the international feature category. Time for the featured film category, starting with the children's and family film here. I don't even know what this Bung is. I still don't even know. Oh, it's some sort of India-themed movie or something like that. But I'm just going to go with the safer bet and say Zootopia 2, or as they call it, Zootropolis 2 here over there in the UK. So, and that will kind of also correlate not just with children's and family film, but I'm also going to correlate that in best animated film as well. I am also going to give Zootropolis 2 the win here, because the first film did not win here. That lost to Kubo and the Two Strings, which, pretty still great win though, but Zootopia 2 was the masterpiece of 2016. But yeah, I think this would be a makeup win, but it's between that and Little Emily, or The Character of Rain. Whoever wins this is K-Pop Demon Hunters' competition at the Oscars. But if Zootopia 2 does win here, both animated film and children's and family film, but specifically animated film here, and PGA, if it does potentially do that, it does have a shot at potentially maybe breaking that sequel curse. Non-Toy Story sequel curse, to be precise. So yeah, I'm going to go with Zootropolis 2 for both children's and family film and animated feature. For documentary feature, now, I could almost see them going, fuck the Oscars, we're going to give it to 2,000 Meters to Anjivka, because they did not nominate it. As we saw what happened with the Directors Guild, they gave Mishon Chernoff DGA for the second time. Obviously, if we do go by the Oscar nominees, it's between Mr. Nobody against Putin and The Perfect Neighbor, which the latter just started its first win at the Film Independent Spirit Awards. I think they are going to go safe and say The Perfect Neighbor, but I would not be surprised, like I said, if they give it to 2,000 Meters to Anjivka, then I would probably predict that for PGA, and then it's just The Perfect Neighbor just has, indie spirits, that's it. Because I think 2,000 Meters is also up at WGA as well. So if it does win here again, the Oscars are definitely regretting what was supposed, even though it was not the true frontrunners, the frontrunner was The Perfect Neighbor. It's just that The Perfect Neighbor would need to show more of a bigger winning presence, and I think it will definitely show up here at the BAFTAs. But it could be 2,000 Meters to Anjivka. Now, for Best Film Not in the English Language. Oh boy, so this is obviously the Oscar 5, and this is a massive question mark. Now, I am still going to say Sentimental Value takes the Oscar, because Norway has never won the Oscar for International Feature yet. But I wonder if the BAFTAs are going to do something similar to what they did, I think, a couple years back. For 2020, Minari would have been the most sense since it was an Oscar Best Picture nominee, but they went with another round. But the biggest example was when The Zone of Interest beat Anatomy of a Fall. Anatomy of a Fall was up for Best Picture, but The Zone of Interest wasn't. So is there a lot of passion for The Secret Agent here? Even though Sentimental Value makes the most sense, since it's up for picture, it's up for director, it's up for at least the 2 supporting categories, and maybe has a threat for another category. But I think this is where I think, I'm not going to still say for the Oscar, but I'm going to kind of jump the bit, and maybe with the BAFTAs honoring its screenplay nomination, might regretting not putting Wagner more on the short list. I think they were going to give it to The Secret Agent, since they did not give I'm Still Here the win here last year. And then for Outstanding British Film, Hamnet. Is anyone not saying Hamnet? Now into the top 8. And here we are in an adapted screenplay here. Now, it would make the most sense to go with one battle after another. And then, of course, you have Hamnet for the potential British bias, even though it is from an Irish author, and not to mention Nomadland did not win screenplay here. But the thing is, Paul Thomas Anderson did win original screenplay for Licorice Pizza, so he does have a BAFTA for writing. So with that, I think as I kind of continue, maybe there might be not a full bias, but I think I am going to go with the British bias bet, even though it's an Irish film, as I've stated, filmed in Ireland. I'm going to go with the safer bet here at the BAFTAs with their British bias and go with Hamnet. But if One Battle After Another does win here, then I think it might be over, because WJ is definitely going to be a little bit too late. And then for original screenplay, it makes the most sense to go with Sinners, but I am throwing a curveball here. Even though Sinners I do think will still go on to win the Oscar, I think because I don't know how many Oscar voters are members of the BAFTAs, especially how many American voters are part of the BAFTAs, which I don't think there are any, because I think you have to be a British person or something like that, or live in a country under the royal family or something like that. So with that said, and I think they would have more of a European touch to it, I'm going to call an upset here and give this to Sentimental Value. I try to call this as an upset win at the Globes, but I think it would make the most sense now for an upset for them to win here. So I am going to give Sentimental Value an original screenplay win, even though it's odd, I am not predicting it for film not in the English language. And now, kind of similar, I would say, to the Critics' Choice Awards, I would say, and you can even technically say the Spirit Awards with supporting performance, I think this one is without a doubt the category of the ceremony, Best Supporting Actress, because there are 3 options you can go with. They could go with the safer bet and say Tiana Taylor. Ignaz Bidar-Lilius is, a lot of people are predicting her the most, according to the awards expert app for a lot of people, and many people think that could pay her the way to give her the Oscar. But then you have Wunmi Masako, a Nigerian-British actress. So, and she has been previously nominated before, unlike Lilius, Taylor, Zion, Mulligan, and Watson, I believe, have won before at BAFTAs. I believe maybe Emily Watson, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, I think they might throw a bit of a curveball here with a British bias and go with Wunmi Masako here in Sinners. For Best Supporting Actor, Stellan Skarsgård obviously makes the most sense. But I think there is going to be another upset here. And you remember how I mentioned about documentary feature, where if they wanted to say, fuck the Oscars, they would give it to the movie that would have made most sense, to almost like what was a big snub in the category? I think that's what they're going to do here. Even though he's Irish, I'm going to call Paul Mescal here. I think Mescal might actually take this one. Elordi is a possibility because he's also a previous nominee. But I think this is where the Hamnet bias is going to come in, but I think this is also basically saying this is for not nominating him at the Oscars, even though some people might view him more as a lead performance. So yeah, I'm calling an upset here, and I think Mescal is actually going to take this one. Now, I know Joseph Fiennes did not win Best Actor here for Shakespeare in Love for his portrayal as William Shakespeare, but yeah, I think this is where I think a bit of the Hamnet bias will come in a bit. For Best Actress, if you do not say Jessie Buckley, where are you? I know some people might throw in Rose Byrne a bit, but she's Australian, and I know they do like their Australians sometimes. You can even say Elordi as well. But they like nominating them, but they don't like to give Australians a lot of the win. So, yeah, this is Buckley here. And then Best Actor, that's Timothée Chalamet here. I mean, I think if there are 2 acting categories that we're the most confident in, it's Buckley and Chalamet. Now, for Best Director, remember, now, I think Coogler is definitely done for Best Director after you lost DGA. But Chloe Zhao is, I would say, now the threat if she does win here at BAFTA. But then again, she already won here for Nomadland. And they really could go in the whole Hamnet bias and try to get everything it's up for, including everything in the top 8. But remember when they all went on the King's Speech? They gave it picture, they gave it original screenplay, and they gave all 3 acting wins, but they did not give Best Director to Tom Hooper. They still gave it to David Fincher for The Social Network. And because with that way, how they did that, I am still going to say Paul Thomas Anderson takes here for One Battle After Another, at least to get his first win in directing here at the BAFTAs. And then for Best Picture, if One Battle After Another does take this, then we are pretty much done for Best Picture, I would say. Even though it would be the category of the Oscars, obviously. But I think if a movie, obviously, what would be potentially maybe number 2 for Best Picture if it does win at the BAFTAs, that would have to be Hamnet, I would say. So, yep, I'm thinking they're going to go a little bit biased a bit and go with Hamnet on this one. So let's see how much of that British bias prediction is going to be incorrect. Because next week when we come back for the award season, we will be going into the last 3 guilds, 2 next weekend and 1 the following weekend, with the Producers Guild, Actors Awards, and the Writers Guild.